That right there was a really painful hit. Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the latvianexotics YouTube channel, to the second to last Aprilia SR50 rebuild episode. I saw the comments saying that we should bring back the SR50 rebuild, so that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. But before we get into that, I would urge you to go down there, click that like and that subscribe button, and help me get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. But I've got an incentive for you guys. Number one, if we hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, me, a person who is absolutely petrified of heights, will go bungee jumping. I'll roll a clip of where I'll be doing that. Look, and that will be me if we hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I don't know how interested you guys are in seeing me do that, but if you have some other suggestions, you can write those down in the comments below as well. And I have a second incentive for you guys too, which is a cool loading bar on our YouTube banner. So if you subscribe, you can see how the numbers go up and you can keep up to date easier with how far we are on our journey to 10,000 subscribers and how close we are to going bungee jumping. But all that aside, let's get right into the 16th episode of the Aprilia SR50 rebuild.
So what I did today was the rewiring of this COSO temp gauge. It works real well now. Look, bang, bang, and turn the ignition on. It's like, it was a lot of trial and error. And if you want to do this yourself, I will save you some time. If you are doing it on an SR50, you have to connect the red wire of the COSO temp gauge with this green middle wire of the ignition, and then the black wire, run it to ground. And that is literally it. I really don't like wiring stuff, so that's quite a bit of an achievement for me. That's nice. We've got currently one issue with this bike right now. It seems to be overheating for some reason. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna disassemble it a little bit. I know I have a crack in the intake. I'm gonna glue that together so it eliminates the possibility of it sucking in air. But I don't think that's the problem because it overheats while idling. Plus, this exhaust, it leaks right there, so it'll need to be welded. And I'm gonna check the water pump, and I'm also gonna check if all these connections are solid, which I do believe they should be solid. I'm gonna check the water pump because I have honestly no idea what else it could be. I've removed the exhaust. I removed the ignition cover because I had to glue it. One plasticky bit had fallen off of it. Here is the final product while it's setting. We've done that. Here's the exhaust removed all this stuff. Also removed the stage 6 straight intake. As you can see, there's no intake here nor carburetor because the carburetor with the filter is sleeping over here, and that's the exhaust mount. I want to glue this thing together because it isn't proper, as you can see. We will be sending this off to get properly glued, and we will be sending this off to get welded. It's a very tiny spot, but right here, you can sort of see grime down there, and it's because it's letting air through. And most likely have these mounts down here welded too, because this mount is broken as well. While that is happening, at one point I might disassemble the ignition just to check what's going on there, because I haven't done that before. I'm gonna Google up how it's done because I don't want to mess anything up. What I found out is that ignition timing can be a problem for overheating, but I really doubt that that is the issue in this case. What I'm looking at is most likely the water pump down there, because there's nothing else that would be stopping the coolant from circulating, because everything is hooked up well. I don't really see any other issues here. I've got my box back right here with my parts. Here's the exhaust. The bracket was fully taken off and re-welded. Put this up on the table so you can see it better. It looks really good now. And on top of that, we also have this intake manifold here, and that looks just fine now too. And another thing that I kind of figured about overheating, maybe it is the issue, is that we have this whole little gear system. I think it might have something to do with the rotation of the water pump. So I'm gonna reinstall this back in. Now we're gonna reinstall the exhaust, reinstall the carb. Hopefully we will be able to pull it a bit out and try to run it a little bit so we can see what the situation is with the overheating problem. And if we've got the overheating problem fixed, that means that we can finally go and tune it, which is a success in my book. It's been kind of a long day, kind of not. I had some issues with bleeding the brakes because I decided I want to bleed the brakes and I thought that they weren't strong enough. I was dumb and then I confused which side which brake reservoir is on, and then I was pressing the front lever while trying to bleed the rear one, because on motorcycles the front brake is here and the rear is down there. I just got super confused and there was a little bit of leakage because this tube decided that it just wanted to shoot out. That tube right there, this part of the tube, it shot out with brake fluid, and then there was brake fluid literally everywhere. Thankfully it didn't damage the paint of the rear wheel, but look, the exhaust is back on. It doesn't bleed. I put the components back in the transmission. It doesn't overheat anymore. And the carburetor is back in. Everything works completely fine. Now it's just heading over to my friend's place in order to tune it. We're gonna probably be doing that in the following week, maybe next week, because the weather outside, it is what it is, and they are predicting rain. But I'm gonna push it out right here and I'm gonna show you that it runs and that it does not overheat, and then I'm gonna have a jolly old day because I'm really happy that this is basically done.
Oh, shit.
This is where we're at currently in the build. Quite a few things have happened while I hadn't filmed. I had a Bluetooth shock absorber. This thing blew out. Made some scratches down there. Everything could have been much worse, so I'm very thankful that not much went wrong. I had this thing give out on me. Thankfully, it works again, and it hasn't given out on me a second time. We did some carb tuning, trying out new spark plugs, and just to see how the ped would run. It ran pretty well, but I'm guessing a problem could be my intake manifold, because it's the gray one and not the orange one, because there's 3 degrees in difference in those two, and sadly I made the mistake of buying the gray one. Other than that, redid the jetting on my carb, so now it's properly jetted and has the proper mixture. Overall, it runs way better than it did before, so you can easily do like 90 to 100 on it, but it isn't still yet completely done. We added this mass wire coming from here going all the way down there to the frame. That's more or less it. I had a transmission blowout just because I didn't properly tighten the front, even though I did, but somehow it still managed to vibrate open. So what we're going to be doing for today, I had this break off this end, so we glued that back together. We're going to be reinstalling this back to the carb. I was checking for the reeds that I had in there. If everything's good with the reeds are good. Also probably going to remove this and get it ready for a repaint because it is looking nasty. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to be installing the new brake system, more or less the new brake cylinders, because look at the old ones. I can literally get it to the end with no issues. So these things are messed up and need to be replaced. Do not ride your brakes like this. By the way, as replacements, we've got these 2 little brake machine thingies from a Yamaha. Why from a Yamaha? Because supposedly they are sharper than the Aprilia SR50 brake thingies. And yes, you can convert it. It's going to be a very special DIY. And also another thing I would like to do is I need to redo this flooring, because on the flooring I had some screws come loose just due to the fact that I didn't have proper bolts set up, and we're gonna put in new bolts in order for me to be able to bolt down these floors properly. Back, it's yet another day. Oh wait, I think my camera's a bit dirty, sorry. Here's the project, and we are still yet trying to fix our brakes. I tried installing Brembos from a Yamaha, but as you can see, they are absolutely dead. They don't pump any of the brake fluid. I'll undo this screw a little bit. When you pump it, it should be pumping brake fluid. It isn't pumping. That's how you know it ain't very great. So what we did is the next best thing. Those are no Brembos, but we've got some universal standard brake levers here, which should hopefully work. We'll be installing them today, airing them out, and we should be good to go. And now let me show you the difference. You remember the Brembos that I was pressing? Look at these. You see the difference, right? These ones aren't anything super special or super crazy, but at least they work, and I'll be able to have proper brakes, not like I had before. The new ones, these are regular Chinese brake reservoir thingies. I'm gonna do the brake bleeding process right now, and I will come back to you after I have bled the front brake. The brakes work properly, both rear and front. So an update for you guys of what's going on right here. I did the caliper repaint. It looks better now. It looks like a lowrider right now, but I'm gonna be reinstalling that back on it, so it won't look like a lowrider anymore. What I've done also so far is finished with gluing this thing back together, so now it should have a nice and strong bond. Then gluing these DIY bolts under here so I can fit the metal flooring. Then painting this is basically done. Now it's just drying, and then the variator cover, which we redid, which is gonna look super clean. Now I'm gonna clear coat it, and hopefully I could start reassembling it so it's working by the end of the day again. Look, we are almost done with this build. We're gonna be placing the fairings back on the scooter finally and getting it to look its best. Oh, and also after I put the fairings on, I want to mess around a little bit with the ignition timing, so I went ahead and got a Woodruff key with a delay. Maybe we can get some better performance out of it with the stock ignition. Here is how the SR50 looks so far with the rear fairings installed. I am psyched on how these fairings turned out. They're like very crispy, all blue and beautiful. I've got the front right there, and I'm gonna be installing that soon. I had an issue where I messed up these lights, so I got some regular ones for like $3. Something will be shining in there, and that'll be fine. I have to fix this whole wiring setup for the battery with the wire seal and everything, and hopefully figure out a way I can fit these to work on these brakes, because they don't. Maybe I'll mess around with the Woodruff key in the ignition. We'll see. Okay, so we got that done. There we go. We got some new wires. Now we can officially properly hook up the battery.
So now that you have watched this episode to the end, I want to give you a little bit of insight of what will be in the last SR50 episode. I will do a quick walk around the project, do a whole price breakdown of how much it cost me, because I think you guys would be pretty interested in that. And I will go for a ride day to show you that it is fully functional. You can ride it and there won't be any catastrophic failures if you take it on the roads. Because I want to show you that even though I am a YouTube mechanic and not a certified mechanic, I do know how to build my stuff. But with my pride aside, I would urge you to go down there, click that like button, click that subscribe button, help me get to 10,000 subscribers, help that loading bar get to the end, and help me get closer to going bungee jumping. Thank you for sticking it out to the end of this video. Thank you for being a part of the Latvian Exotics family. And with that, I will see you in the next upload.
And I keep a pretty bitch put up. Ride through with a chauffeur, I be chillin' with my foot up. Niggas all cap bullshit, niggas pull up. Master P in 98, that little nigga got the hook up. I'ma make it drop the jaws every time a nigga pull up. Drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it. Every time you turn around, that nigga, he the top. You would think the baby popcorn the way the nigga pop.